One of the things we've been trying to make clear in our study of the biblical text so far is to emphasize how the Bible is occasional literature. The authors of the biblical text were products of their culture. They were aware of their culture. They were aware of the beliefs of their culture, and very often trying to respond against those beliefs, much the same way we do, as we are products of our culture and try to speak the power of God to that culture. One of the aspects of culture surrounding the biblical authors were these creatures called the Apkallu. The Apkallu existed in most Mesopotamian religions. They were believed to be the ones who provided civilization to humanity. The Apkallu were given by the gods art, music, metalworking, and law codes, and then their responsibility was to provide that to the king, and then the king provided it to the servants, humanity at large. So the Apkallu were the ones that mediated this culture to humanity. Now, they are present in most of the religions in the ancient Near East, and yet the biblical text doesn't ever talk about them. In fact, the Bible in Genesis 4 says culture came in a very different way. So while these Apkallu are just pervasive throughout ancient Near Eastern depiction, you see them on many of the bas-relief carvings, sometimes with bird heads, sometimes with fish heads, sometimes with human heads. Often they're in attendance of the tree of life. Usually they're carrying a bucket. You can usually spot an Apkallu because he has a bucket in his hand, standing usually behind the king as that symbol of him providing these things to the king and the king providing them to humanity. So keep in mind this idea that culture comes only from the God mediated by the Apkallu to the king versus how the Bible presents it in Genesis 4. And I think you find an interesting theological insight.